Greetings, everyone. Welcome to my sketchbook. This is the last day of December, December 31st. It is also the last day of the year, 2025. Yesterday I drew this, which is a picture of a duck who had gone south for the winter. I'm just going to set this aside for a moment and hopefully not have it just turn into a gigantic mess here. I want to show you a couple of things. I have a huge collection of records. And I just want to show you a couple while I was looking for other things. Well, some people love Johnny Cash. This is Johnny Cash at Folsom Prison. Here's another Johnny Cash. This one's San Quentin, which I think is awesome. What I was looking for, though, was this. This is an Anne Murray album. This is it also features the song Snowbird, formerly titled This Way Is My Way. And of course, not always lots of room on this desk. And that light is probably a little too bright. Also, it's on this Greatest Hits album, #1, Snowbird. That's an interesting thing. But amongst my favorite Anne Murray albums is actually this album cover here. This is Where Do You Go When You Dream? And it has Anne Murray with some cherub on there. But, you know, I guess this is the good side of the album. So this is side 1. And then side 2 is this, which is Anne Murray again. I don't know why I think this is funny. It is funny. Anyway, so what am I going to draw for my last day of the year? Let's bring this other stuff back. Let's get rid of this final page, or get to the final page, which is all falling out of this poor sketchbook. All right. I think it's fun to be a part of something. And sometimes, whatever that thing is, other people go, why are you a part of this? What's the point of this? Nowadays, people like to refer to some of those things as cringe or brain rot. Well, I think that's what I'm going to draw for 2025, is some brain rot. It's always been around. There's always been sort of things, almost like catchphrases, that people can't help but have fun sharing in group settings or whatnot. Let's zoom in on this just a little bit here, lock it down. All right, so I'm going to try to draw a couple of things here. Those are just rough little circles. And what they're going to be is representative of faces. I'm sure some of you kind of know where I'd be going with this, because you're all about this. Now this is just lightly scratching down in ink before I get too far into adding lots and lots of detail. Now, there was a point, and people like to talk about this one, it's pretty easy to talk about, where people would talk on the phone, and this would have been referenced in movies. It would have been referenced in just everyday sort of cultural things. The "what's up" guys. Someone would, in a commercial during a Super Bowl, you'd have some guys meeting up together, getting ready to watch the game, and they have snacks and all sorts of things. It's like, oh, so what are you up to? It's like, well, watching the game, blah, blah, blah. But the whole thing that kind of went viral before viral kind of went viral was, "What's up?" You let your tongue hang out. And anyway, so everybody was just walking around screaming, "What's up?" Anyway, so it got out of hand, I think. So what I'm going to draw here is three little buddies enjoying some viral moment. We're going to kind of draw them a little bit like zombies. So as I said, this is kind of like brain rot stuff. And it's supposed to be kind of funny too, right? I'm just adding slight detail as I go. The concept of trends I find pretty interesting. And sometimes it's about a popular toy, sometimes it's about popular movies. There was a point in time where if you wanted to talk about anything, it started off with talking about Batman. The summer of, I think it was 1989. It's like there was nothing bigger than that first Tim Burton Batman movie. It was something that everybody saw. Chances are, for some of you, your grandparents saw it, your great grandparents saw it. It was just like, it was outrageous. Let's add a little bit of detail to these faces, just a little bit more, even though I think there's just about enough there. Now, somehow, in my mind, when I think of childhood, and I think of some of the faces that you can make, I think it's funny to think of missing teeth, almost like jack-o'-lanterns. As you get older, when you start missing teeth, it's a little bit more tragic because those are your adult teeth when you get older. Now, some people, they hold on to those teeth, the baby teeth, I should say, a little later into adulthood. Because they don't have other teeth to back those ones up. But I do think it's interesting that, well, I think, what do they call those now? Flippers? So I don't know much about the pageant world. It's not really my thing. But for some reason, having a child in a pageant, you don't want to necessarily show that they've lost their teeth. I think it's a natural part of just getting older. I mean, it's kind of weird that, makeup is a big part of that kind of stuff. I don't really understand that. But I think they call the fake teeth that you give a child flippers. I could be wrong. If you know, uh, let me know in the comments. Now, for fun, on this child, I'm going to put that 1950s weird little beanie cap with the propeller on it, because I think that's funny. Kids these days don't wear those. Like the Kilroy kind of hat, from the Jetsons. Although he had some sort of it was like more to be like an antenna, I think. And I don't know if Leave It the Beaver had one or not, to be honest with you. But I'm putting one lightly there. Just adding little bits of detail. Another thing about being a part of a trend is kind of generational. So you don't really get adults doing this sort of thing, of these sort of trends, I should say. I don't know what the biggest deal when I was a kid that you just couldn't help but walk around and say, you know what? I'll be right back. There is a couple things. This is funny. I'll be right back. All right, so I went to my record collection again, and believe it or not, I have a pretty substantial collection of comedy on vinyl. So let's back out of this for a moment. This is Steve Martin, and let's see here. This phrase here, wild and crazy guy. So SNL has always been kind of on the forefront of pushing comedy and that sort of thing. Here's a picture of Steve Martin there with a guitar. He actually is a fantastic banjo player, believe it or not. But yeah, a wild and crazy guy. That was like something that people used to say. But also, look at this. This is Billy Crystal. And you look marvelous. That was something that people would just walk around and say. So that's not quite to the same level as some of the cringy brain rot stuff that you see nowadays. But I kind of forgot that this existed. You look marvelous. Anyway, that's funny. Let's get back to this. About 15 minutes in. Let's zoom back in on this. Dip the pen. Get get back to work. I won't have all the kids losing teeth. Because not all kids lose the teeth at the same time. Now, I've gone to one of my niece's basketball games, and there are moments when you're just out and about as well. If somebody's counting out loud, and just in order of counting, people lose their minds. So at basketball games, let's say the score is, I don't know, 63 to 57. As soon as you get to 66, there's like sadness. Unless there's going to be a penalty shot, it seems like the greatest joy is going to 6-7. That is the subject of today's doodle. Somehow, that's become a phenomenon. I think it's funny. If I say it, it's more ironic and cringy if there's some young people around. To have an adult say something that, is kind of like their thing. And really, they don't really get why they're doing it either. It's just something that's become kind of a viral thing. I think it's funny. We're going to have a little bit of drool here. Now, I don't really think that people go along with things just to be cool, but it does happen. I do understand that it is possible that there is some kind of version of peer pressure out there. But it's a strange thing. We have these little faces. I'm going to continue adding just a little bit of detail. Sorry to run away like that, looking for more vinyl. I think in the future, maybe next year, next year, I'm probably going to bring out more of those albums just to show you some of those things. Because nowadays, when people get music, they stream it, they download it. So you don't really get to see album covers so much. Now, there's always a push to see vinyl. Not everyone has the means by which to play it. So Taylor Swift will put out an album, and then physical copy of those albums will also often include vinyl. So it's still popular. You can still get vinyl. It still exists. Now, I'm just detailing the faces and the hands because I don't want this to be a 4-hour doodle. I just want there to be a little bit of detail. There's something about this little face here that I think is funny. Maybe it's the hunching shoulders. Maybe it's the toothless little smile. Just the hint of the smile. I think it's funny. putting little movement marks by the hands. Now, just darken in some more of this for detail's sake. One of my nephews started playing the ukulele, got a ukulele for Christmas. That's really fun, mainly because, and I've said this to many people, a ukulele is an instrument that you can't really outgrow. So, if you start playing it when you're a kid, well, when you're an adult, you can still play it. They travel pretty easily, so you can get a cool gig bag or a case, as some of us would call it, and you can go places with it. Way easier to drag around than an upright piano or a guitar. You can go on a subway with one without having to, treat it like or an airplane. You can go on a bus, field trip, put it in the car, tie it to your back. It travels reasonably well. So the ukulele is pretty cool. All right, so that's a rough detail of that. I'm just going to do a little bit with the hand here. Make sure that there's a little bit of fingernail going on there. Now in this motion that represents 6/7, which I guess there are different origins to it. I remember looking it up a long time ago. I think it's unnecessary though. I mean, the origin part of it, whether it came from a song or a basketball player's talking about height, it's become something else. So it's not really necessary to have the origin story for it the way it has taken off. I'm just adding a slight amount of detail to these hands. Thumbs going to the outside. So yes, it is fun to be part of something, but I wonder how far into 2026 this will go. I don't know. I don't know what would be the next great trend that people can't help but involve themselves in. There could be a TV show where people will be like, oh, that's so funny. I can't wait to share this with my friends. Bart Simpson on The Simpsons was responsible for lots of things, which I've referenced a long time ago in the shorts. So I would make a video and then I'd make a short form of that video, because some people prefer to watch shorts rather than a 25 to 30 minute long video of someone just rambling on about whatever nonsense. I think it was Consume, something like that. But anyway, it refers actually to Bart Simpson. And he used to run around and say to people, "Eat my shorts." And that's where that sort of came from. If you notice in my playlist, anyway, that's what that is. Alberto's drawers. That's the eat my shorts things. Anyway, there's a little bit of silly information for you. Okay. That finger looks a little messy. Uh-huh. Those are my little brain rot buddies. Let's, no, maybe not that far. Let's go to there. Right here. It's happening. It's happening. Sometimes you could be at the mall and you'll just see some kid walking along, enjoying their life in some way. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, their hands start moving. What is going on? And then they start just sort of chanting to themselves, not for anyone else's amusement, just to themselves. 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7. And it can haunt you because you don't know why this is happening. What is wrong with this human being? I hope they're okay. 6, 7, 6, 7. Oh, well. It's still fun, I suppose. I'm just doing like a little squiggly speech bubble. And I'm going to kind of go over it twice. It'll be kind of messy, and that's okay because I want it to look haunted. Oh, let's go one more time. Now, I'm going to direct those speech bubbles to the participant in the virally trend. This one here. All right. I think that's it. Let's go a little bit of texture inside here. So, 2025. This is the last drawing for 2025. thanks for hanging out with me. It's been kind of fun, drawing a lot of silly pictures, and kind of like this one. This is pretty silly. Thanks for subscribing. If you haven't, feel free to subscribe. You can leave a comment. You can share. You can do all that kind of stuff. Or just hang out. If there's something silly that you'd like to see me draw sometime next year, well, let me know. And not that I need to keep up with those kind of trends or whatnot. I get to see some of that stuff happening. All right then, folks. Well, that's it. I hope you have a happy new year. And yeah, I guess see you next year. Ciao for now. 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7.